The latest BC consumer debt study from Sands and Associates highlights the consequences debt problems have on British Columbians. In fact, nearly 81% of respondents say their mental health suffered as a result of being in debt. Licensed insolvency trustee Blair Manton joins us now with the warning signs and advice for folks who might find themselves in some money trouble. Good morning to you, Blair.
Good morning.
We were just talking earlier about some of the news in our show that shows, how inflation is affecting Canadians. So this is a very timely topic. So what are some of the warning signs of debt problems, and what did your numbers show?
Well, the biggest warning sign is actually very intuitive. It's just you're feeling very stressed about your finances. So you feel that overwhelming stress. And as we heard about food inflation this morning, a recipe for feeling hopeless is when you're being impacted by something significantly that you actually have no control over. So that, just feeling that overwhelming stress. A lot of the times you're only making minimum payments on your debt. You're feeling like you're on that hamster wheel, just not getting anywhere, seeing the debt balances remain the same. But in a real summary, it's if you think you have a debt problem, if you're feeling like you're worrying about your debt, you probably do. And it's a good warning sign that you should reach out and get some help.
Right. So what are the effects that people report having as a result of their debt? What stories do you hear, and what did the numbers show?
Being in debt that you can't handle is really bad for your health. I believe it's a public health crisis that's emerging that we just really haven't tackled yet. And it can impact people in so many aspects of their lives. So a lot of people feel very anxious. They start to cut themselves off from their relationships. They feel depression. Every year that we've done this study, it's somewhere between 1 in 5 and 1 in 7 people are actually suicidal because of their debt. They just don't see any other solutions. So what's so gratifying to me as a debt health professional is seeing that transformation for people, to see that they can have hope again, they can do better in the future. But a lot of people, they really struggle for a long time feeling all of these impacts, just not knowing where to turn.
Right on. And one of the biggest lessons I've learned from you over the years is that there is more than one solution when it comes to dealing with debt. And a lot of people probably think maybe taking out a line of credit, maybe putting themselves in more debt, but there is actually another way, and folks like you are on their side. So what advice do you have for folks who might be worried they're in a troubling debt situation? What is the difference between a licensed insolvency trustee and maybe going to a bank?
Well, a lot of folks, when they feel like they have debt, they try to solve it by what got them there. They try to borrow more. So sometimes they consolidate debts. Sometimes they get payday loans. Sometimes they get friends or family to co-sign loans. All those things can be very dangerous situations, not always very good ideas. So when you come to a licensed insolvency trustee, the big difference is we look at all of your options, including the ones that maybe the bank doesn't want you to know about, because it's going to allow you to freeze the debt, reduce the debt, give you a payment that you can afford. So the vast majority of people that we see, they've often waited up to 2 years. So we ask every year in the survey, did you reach out right away when you knew you had a problem? 95% of people don't reach out right away. And about 40% of people, it's about a 2-year suffering period where they just don't know what to do and they feel very stressed. So when you sit down with a trustee, we talk to you about all of your options. For literally 9 out of 10 people, we help them restructure their debts, avoiding bankruptcy, doing a consumer proposal, which we've spoken about before. It's a great option to get people back on track, pay back what you can afford on the debt without having to look at a bankruptcy.
Right, and stop those calls maybe from creditors too that cause more stress and anxiety, right? Well, Blair Manton, thank you so much for your time with us this morning. And if folks want to find out more or speak to a licensed insolvency trustee, you can head to the website you see on your screen and hopefully alleviate some of that stress. Thank you again.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right.